anyone can become a software engineer. It's honestly pretty easy. You just need a computer, Google, and about 6 months, and you'd be able to get an associate or graduate level role. But what is the end goal? Is it just to get your large paycheck, or is it because you love to code? That's fine. Or is it to progress, to end up being the one making all the decisions? Is it to be a tech lead, an engineering lead, a VP of engineering, a CTO, a CEO? Is it to start your own business? If this is your end goal, then you're in the right place. These are my 5 tips that helped me get into a position of leadership at one of the largest fintechs in the world at the age of just 28. In fact, I got promoted to my position at the age of 26. So how did I do that? This is a super simple tip. You're a software engineer, so you already love learning. And if you don't love learning, then you're in the wrong job. You're not going to get past associate level. So my tip here is to read business and thinking books. I'm not telling you to stop learning new techs, watching Pluralsight courses, going to conferences. You can keep doing that. I'm just saying alternate between learning tech and learning business or reading a business book. This is something I've done for a long time. And the benefits of thinking books especially can transcend well beyond just your professional, your career, and into your personal life. Books like How to Win Friends and Influence People, Thinking Fast and Slow, these are great books. Good to great. It allows you to pick up and learn from other people's experiences in the industry and in the world. Whilst all companies are providing different service, the problems they face tend to be the same. How to scale, how to balance products and tech, how to motivate people. I'll link some of the books that have helped me in the description below. The next tip is to learn how to communicate effectively. If you've been in the job for a while, or you're just starting out, you'll probably have realized that you don't actually code as much as you thought you would. You have a lot of meetings, collaborative design sessions, and you just have to communicate with a lot of people on a daily basis. The perception from the outside of being a software developer is that we sit all day with headphones on, not talking to anyone, staring at a black background IDE with a can of Red Bull and a packet of biscuits. And while this can be true, those days are very rare. To be a good developer and to add value at the company you work at, you have to be able to communicate. And while the stereotype I just covered might not always be true, the stereotype of a software engineer or somebody into tech being an introvert or someone who can't communicate is kind of true. And this gives you a great advantage because if you can learn how to communicate, you can jump above everybody else that can't. And that puts you in a much better position to succeed in the job. There's a few different types of communication that you need to master. The first, which is the sort of technical one, you need to be able to explain technical concepts or decisions with clarity to other engineers. The simpler you can explain complex problems, then the more effective your communication is. This is probably the most important one to learn early on as an engineer. You also need to be able to explain technical concepts to non-technical people, product managers, sales, or the customers themselves. And finally, you just need to be able to communicate with everybody that you work with on a daily basis, whether you like them or not, and whether you think they're adding value to the company or not. It's not what you know, it's who you know. And whilst I don't 100% agree with that statement, it does hold some truth. How will you be considered for a promotion if you don't know your manager well enough? And what if your manager has to speak to their manager to ask for advice on who they should promote? If you know your manager's manager, if you have a good relationship with them, you're already in a better position for that promotion. Don't get me wrong, this stuff is not easy. To build these relationships, especially with people in higher management, you have to make sure you're giving them value in the conversations that you have. It's tough, I know, but that point is very important because being an arse slicker is going to do you more harm than good. The next tip is one that everyone struggles with early on in their careers, and it's ones that people really think and hope isn't going to have to be part of their job. And that's being able to speak in public with confidence and to hold presentations. If you think it's a skill that people are born with, and you either have or you haven't, you're wrong. If you've ever watched a TED Talk, you've probably thought to yourself, wow, they've got so much sort of charisma and natural talent at engaging with the audience. How are they so confident? How do they remember everything they're going to say? I can almost guarantee you they were not born with this skill. This is something that they have practiced and practiced and practiced. They've learned all their lines. They've recited them over and over again. Over time, yes, it does become easier. But at some point in everybody's life, they found it uncomfortable to speak in public. They found it difficult. So if you can't share your knowledge and ideas with others, then you're not going to be as valuable as somebody who can. And trust me, if you're watching this right now thinking, but it terrifies me. Honestly, it terrified me. But you just have to bite the bullet and you have to practice and learn. And yeah, I didn't have the best presentations at first, but nobody can remember those now. It's so important. I cannot say it enough. And once you practice it and have confidence in it, you'll start to enjoy it. And at this point, you'll just reap the benefits. You'll see your progress skyrocket. Number 4, and finally, a technical tip. Now, this is one you'll see in lots of other videos with titles similar to this one. And it's to learn another programming language. But in addition to this, it's also to invest in cloud and scale concepts. This is 2 tips in one, really. But to start with the programming language. Now, I'm not suggesting that you learn another programming language so that you can widen the job opportunities you have. I'm doing it so that you can train your mind or your brain to think differently, to think outside the box. The language you're most proficient in right now is the language you should stick with. At least that's my opinion. You're going to go the furthest with that one. But like I said, this is so that you can think better. I'm telling you to learn another programming language so that you can become a smarter person. I've focused on C# and .NET my career. I mean, I learned Java at university, but considering they're both very similar object-oriented languages, I'm not going to get that much benefit from knowing one other than the other. But investing in something like Python or an F#, they really do work differently. By learning that, you're forced to tackle the same problems in different ways, constrained by how the programming languages work. As an engineer, you'll find it fun doing that. Yet the reason I'm suggesting this is so that you can become a smarter person, and I genuinely believe it does make you smarter. And again, like everything else I've said, if you can do this and make yourself smarter, again, you are going to be better than somebody who only knows one programming language. And that is going to put you in a better position. The second part of this tip is to invest in cloud and scale concepts. We use AWS. This means understanding messaging using SNS and SQS, event streaming with Kinesis, NoSQL databases with DynamoDB, serverless code with AWS Lambdas, how to host your applications in containers with ECS or Kubernetes, how to manage your APIs with API Gateway. Whilst the particular implementations vary across provider, the underlying concepts remain the same and they're not going anywhere soon. Understanding how to optimize and decouple your systems is a skill you can take with you anywhere, regardless of the programming language the company is using. This sort of thing will almost undoubtedly help you in interview whiteboard questions as well. My last tip is for you to not just understand the work that you're working on, but the work that the other engineers in the company are working. Unless you're in a super small company with just a single engineering team, you almost certainly have to interact with other teams in the company. This closely links to the communication tip. If you don't understand what that other team is doing, how are you ever going to be able to build good software, good code that integrates with theirs? If you want to have the most impact you possibly can in your company, understanding what engineering does on all the products in the company will give you a much larger pool of opportunities that you can influence. It gives you the opportunity to work with these engineers and also build relationships with them. So obviously, if you're just starting out or you've just joined a new company, then start by learning your system, But my point here is don't get comfortable. Once you've learned it, keep going further and further. Learn about all the other products and systems in the company. If you are working in a small company, then look at your competitors. How do your competitors build their systems? How do they provide a better service than you? How do you provide a better service than them? Who excels at what? How do their APIs look? What's their contracts? All of these things can help you better your system as well. So all the tips I've given is really just around how to give you an advantage over your peers. Every little thing you can do, every little thing makes you better than them. And this puts you in the best possible position to succeed as a software engineer. Best investment opportunity is in yourself. And I know it's cliche, but it's true. So those are my 5 tips. Let me know what you thought in the comment section below. Let me know what topics you'd like me to cover next. Until next time.